Yeah. Same thing, waiting on your cue. Yeah. What's going on, people? It's your girl Matilda, aka Tilly, aka Tills, aka Tilly Tills. And this time I'm going to introduce what I do because I didn't do it last time. I'm a radio presenter here at Pi Radio. I'm a content creator, executive content producer, and just a host and just vibes in general. And to my right,
Yeah, so my name's Palumi, and I have a show called Christ Talk live on Pi Radio's YouTube channel. And yeah, I make content, have a podcast. Yeah, and I go to uni. I do computer science. Yeah.
content and the brains. We love to see it. We love to see it. So earlier on we had Casey on and was speaking about Black history being taught in education. And another thing that I would like to touch upon and why we brought you here, Kim Walker, is to talk about being Black in work. I feel like it's something that we don't speak about enough. And as it is Black History Month, let's just use this platform and this opportunity as a chance to talk about our experiences and what should improve. Yes. And what I guess what we can learn from each other's experiences. Do you know what I mean? First of all, let's talk about being Black at work in general. What's that like for you? Do you want to let me start with you, Palumi?
Being Black at work, it's interesting because I would like to say that I've had the privilege, I guess, to work with organizations that are socially conscious. So work with organizations like Contact Theatre, like Beat Freaks, like just different people that know about why it is important to have Black people in these spaces. But I've also had experiences whereby I work in a space, and I'm just it's funny because it's very covert. It's very under the table. Sometimes you might experience something that's racism, but you wouldn't think that it's racism. And then it's another thing that I tend to find is that if I was just there to tick a box or just with that representation, it kind of feels like you're in that space and it's very surface level in the way in which the conversations is had and the way in which people do what they do. For example, and this is why I think it's really important to have Black people or minority people in certain spaces. I worked. I was doing this thing for this organization. And last year there was a Black person in charge, and for Black History Month we did something. This year, that Black person isn't there anymore, and we did Black History Month happened, and it just happened and by. And I feel like that just speaks volumes to the fact that if Black people out there, if Black people are there, if you don't use your voice to promote certain things will happen. So it's very dicey.
Representation really matters. So I absolutely hear what you're talking about. But yeah, with what you just said, let's get into Kimo. You working in a school and it's Black History Month. This school is a new school that you just working at, and what you've done in that 1 month. Obviously, I can speak about it because I know you, but I want you to actually let people know, what that was about, what even pushed you, what led you into doing that and making these changes in that little short period of time of you being there, creating such a massive impact.
the workplace. And when I speak to a lot of people at my age now, and they would look back, you know, when I was in school, there was not even one black teacher, you know, we keep hearing the same story. And I would have thought by now that education would have changed all of that, but they haven't. I think for me, I've always just known education and youth work. Working in youth work, I see black people all the time. A lot of our young people are people that go to work, I'd say about 95% black. Work was the same. In schools, now it's a different picture. The kids, in terms of the minority makeup, I'd probably say a lot more now are minority in schools where you're looking at maybe 89% black Afro-Caribbean within schools, or you look at what they call SLT, which is the head teacher, the deputy, and everyone there. There is no one who's black in that team. It's been like that for years. It's very rare you have schools where SLT has any black members on there. And you know what? I'll give you a bit of facts on it as well. In the UK alone, 1% of head teachers are black.
1%. Damn.
The UK are black. In Manchester alone, Greater Manchester, it's only a white teacher.
Really?
Yes, the only black head teacher in the whole of Greater
No.
Manchester.
Wow,
We haven't
wow,
got any
wow.
other black head teachers at all. So when I speak to him, he's very honest in saying that sometimes he feels in the room where there's a lot of white members of staff. Literally. And do you know what? I'll be honest with you. I see multiple factors with this one as to the answer. I feel like genuinely there are a lot of black people that go into teaching. And I feel like when black people are in teaching, they don't want to limit them, they don't want to not limit, they don't want to push themselves to go higher. A lot of them would rather I've got the same maths
That's all in the
teacher
same.
at that same school. That's been my maths teacher for over 15 years.
That is
So,
crazy.
as a maths teacher, you don't want to go. A lot of them genuinely don't want to go higher than where they are because they just love teaching or they just want to stay there. But I feel like a lot of it is to do with people don't want to either go up there, or a lot of it is where there's discrimination at the top.
I was gonna say that. Do you feel like they don't want to grow, or some of them are not even aware of the opportunities that they could potentially, have access to?
I'd say both. I wouldn't say. I think we have to be careful because I don't want to say that education is racist and we don't want to put black people at the top. I do feel like some black people generally don't want to go there. And that's fair because being in SLT is a big role. When I speak to my head teacher, he tells me the stress of being a head teacher alone. You don't get to see the kids. A lot of it's managerial. A lot of it's meetings. Every time we have a meeting, I've got another meeting. And this is literally like it's like running a place where you just meet and staff all the time. So I feel like you don't get to see the kids. You don't get to walk about. And I feel like people see that and think, I don't want that. You know what I mean? So I feel like half of it's that, but I also feel like there isn't enough opportunities. I feel like they started schemes back in the day where, this was a good scheme, they started a scheme back in the day where it was called Tomorrow's Heads, where you did a scheme where literally in 5 years you could be a head teacher.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
So what happened to that? It just doesn't exist anymore.
A lot of these schemes just fizzled out. They brought in new ones, didn't work, and they fizzled out. But a lot of people got through that program, and I can teach us till this day through that program. That's what means the government are always trialing these programs, but it's just a shame it's not sustainable. And I feel like now, obviously, the new education secretary, because a lot of new guy now, he's of color.
Oh,
the new education
amazing.
So he's saying now that there's not a lot of black head teachers and teachers, so he's going to be looking into developing.
Yeah, something's gonna be done about that. That is amazing. Oh my goodness. Now going to you, Jade. What about you? So you at work. What is your what have you had any any experiences that made you feel some type of way, or made you have to I guess change who you are a little bit, or
I mean, I feel I feel like I've been privileged to. I feel like I've not really had too much difficulty in that area, being like a mixed person. But like, I don't want to bait out bait out the company that I work
call them
for.
out, bruv. Nah, I'm joking.
But like, yeah, like I had a conversation with my employer a few days ago, and he's a minority, he's Asian, and he was asking me like all these questions about because it's like sushi month, and I was talking to him about going to your event that you did that's in my local.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, oh, what's that about? And so like I was telling him, and he's like, oh, I wouldn't really like put you as like a black activist, and I was like,
What?
Like, do you know, he just like
Crazy.
came out with that, and I was a bit like, and then he just like started me asking my questions, and I was just like, he made me feel like a bit like, ooh, do you know what I mean? And so, but I was like, took it by myself, and I was like, right, you know what? Like, I puffed up, and I was like, yeah, like I am like this, and I was telling him about like my hair and like the whole story about my hair. Like, I used to use my mum's hair, like hair conditioner stuff, which I shouldn't be using because my hair is curly and my mum's got like straight hair. But as a kid, I didn't know that, and that's from just like a lack of education about like culture and like how to properly look after your hair, which only now as I've grown up and thank God for YouTube, all of those videos about how to nourish your hair and everything. But yeah, sometimes like, I feel just like when you want to ask you questions, you know what I mean, to like including you and like, and then not, you know what I mean, saying all this stuff. But sometimes I feel like it's just the way that it's delivered and stuff. Yeah. Like the way that I felt after we asked that question. That, you know what I mean, that how I was, how I felt.
Yeah.
We're not going to debate that, but
No, I hear you. Okay, so what about you, Timmy? Any work experiences that stood out to you, you know, as a black person?
Yeah, I mean, I used to work in like hospitality for 9 years, and obviously within that, you do get certain abuse from customers, and now and again, fair enough. But that's fine because that's a rude thing. I did have a situation where a customer did show some sign of a racist sort of like, treatment towards me. And me reporting it at the time, I felt as if I got told to just kind of let it go. But I thought that if I had someone who was maybe black as a manager, they could have actually felt
Back
that.
to you, yeah.
But you know what? No, we're gonna resolve this right now, or we're gonna have a conversation. But the fact that it was kind of just brushed aside, like I left home that day kind of feeling like, wow, am I being protected at work? So yeah, that's kind of the experience I've had before.
No, I hear you. I mean, talking about, you know, how you feel when a situation like that has happened, a fun little story here for you guys. So I was once upon a time I was a student nurse. Yeah, don't ask us. I might say. And I was a student nurse that had an afro. So I'm quite known for experimenting with my hair. If you know, like last year I chopped it all off and dyed it blonde, and I experiment with my hair a lot. So I had a period where I went natural. So I had the afro out, and if you know, as a black woman, wash day is a whole process. It is long. The wash week, you already know, it's a wash week. You know, you have to wash your hair. After that, then you have to put a lot of products in it, especially when my hair was 4C at the time. I have to put a lot of products in it. So I had shea butter, coconut oil, all that stuff. So you need to let it marinate, you know, in your hair. And, you know, I didn't put any heat in my hair. My hair was like 100% raw, natural. Do you know what I'm saying? So what I would do is after wash day and you put all these products in, I went into placement at the hospital. Now I had my hair out as an afro, had like a little band around it. It was cute. It was really cute. Okay, so I was, assisting a patient with feeding. I was helping him. I was getting some food in him basically. And I was sat down. I was minding my business as I was doing what I was doing, and then on that ward, I was probably like the only black student there. A majority of them, like, were white, the white ladies that have been there for years and years and years. So, and I remember this woman came and she just dug both her hands in my head. Now it's a thing where I've heard about this online, or it's one of them things like where you've seen people talk about their black experiences, and you've always thought, bro, that can never happen to me. If that happens to me, yo, I'm gonna switch. I'm gonna do all that stuff. She dug her hand in my hair, and then she took her hands out and she goes, it's greasy. And then she went to get all of her friends, and they started doing the same thing as well. And they did the same thing, came out like, and I was just sat there and I froze. I actually froze. But so that was an experience. And I remember, the staff. Yeah, no, this is a staff. It was a staff. They literally dug their hand in, put it out. Of course it's gonna be greasy. I've got like a bunch of products in it, and then they were washing their hand, and then it's products that my hair needs. Do you know what? It's nourishment for my head. But they'll do that, and then they'll go wash their hand and get all their friends to come and do it as well. And you're talking about being protected at work. At the time, I felt like there was even no point in me even reporting it because no one's gonna understand what I'm talking about. Do you know what I'm saying? No one. I feel like they're gonna brush out. They're gonna brush it on the table and make it out like, oh, it's not a big deal. So it's just hair. Just do you know what I mean? So because of that, I never ever reported it. But which brings me to the first statement though. Let's talk about this real quick. Just actually throw that little story in there for you guys because I'm sure a lot of people or a lot of black people, have very crazy experiences at work. And we're gonna get into that a little bit more from you guys. Okay, so the first statement that I've got here is it doesn't matter what I look, sound like, I have faith that I will be hired based on my skills and working abilities alone. How true is that to you, Pinimi?
It doesn't matter. I mean, that would be good in a perfect world. Honestly, I think that would be good in a perfect world, but that's just not true. And I think it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter what you look like, but I think in just the world that we live in, it does. And it's just because of the way things are being presented and represented. So even when we look at like black people or black men, for example, if a black man was to go for a job or whatever, because there are certain tropes in media that says, "Oh, a black man is aggressive" or "a black man is not caring," they kind of they wouldn't accept that for certain roles or for certain positions. So that's why it's so good to have you as a head of year and being a black man, because it shows that black men can be all of those things. They can be caring. They can be someone that you can run to if you just need a hug, or if you just need somebody to cry to, or even if you just need somebody to like shout at and just be like, "Oh my God, my mom did this," and like they would just listen and not exactly and not shout back and just be there for you, if that makes sense. And I feel like in a lot of ways people think that like, oh, black people just like to complain, or black people just like to say things for the sake of saying things. But these things happen. These things are important. Having people in certain positions are needed, because like when I was younger, I would never imagine having a black man as a head of year or even a head teacher. I was like I would never, I'd never have thought that. And like, because even there was a deputy head teacher, but like I think the head of, and I know I'm focusing on this, but like I'm deep in it now that I'm sitting here saying, it's like, wow, that is so good for other people to see that. But no, definitely it matters. It shouldn't matter what you look like or whatever, or what your name is. It shouldn't matter, but I think it does. It's just now about how you navigate that and how you play, how you play a game that wasn't necessarily meant for you to play.
A game that wasn't meant for you to win. Do you know what I mean? I absolutely hear that. I absolutely hear that. What about you, Kimoy? So, do you feel like your skills, was more of an impact, or your skills helped you to get to where you are now, as opposed to, like your as opposed to your color not being, a barrier to where you are? That makes sense.
Back in the day, we used to look at your application, and it used to be one of them where they look at your age, your color, making decisions. It's changed now.
Oh, really?
Get rid of that bit.
The ethnicity part. I've always wondered what that was about. Yeah, like why do you want to know what my ethnicity is? Like,
Application form now, it's just your name and just the information for the
oh,
application.
okay.
So your age, your color, your religion, anything like
Oh,
that.
wow, amazing.
Yeah, they got rid of all that.
Okay.
So that's why I think now that it's now kind of based on, again, what you can bring to the table. And I suppose everything, well, I say that, but like, I suppose like with school, especially this recent one, I just went in and I saw myself really well to the people that interviewed me. That the decision was made after I went through. You know what I'm trying to say? And I feel
Big
like,
flex.
yeah, I feel like it's all about that now. I feel like I still feel some places, like I know some places where they only hire you for the
JD.
you see what I'm saying? Exactly. But they don't tell you that. It's something that people have noticed for years. They will never say to people that recruit people for this reason. It's just how they are. And I think that some workplaces are still like that.
Yeah.
They're very quick to the one people they want to go and older than this and stuff. I feel like it should be like that. I feel like it should be based on your
Amazing. What about you, Jade?
I agree with everything that you guys have said already. Like, it shouldn't, you know what I mean? It shouldn't matter what you know, what, you know what I mean? What kind of, like, you're a person, you've got great skills, and, you know what I mean? I feel like you work really great in, you know, whatever it is you're applying for, and that should be it. And in regards to, is it just like the education system where you've got rid of the, or is it like through, like,
Other things.
I think for now, I'm just noticing everything. Nobody else has said anything different to me.
maybe
So
maybe it should like it should that should
Yeah, just make it a worldwide thing. Just get rid of that whole segment and everything. Because I've always wondered what that was about. I know, maybe I don't know. I've always thought maybe it's just feel some kind of quota. We just need to make sure we got that talking black person in the group, and it's like, okay, cool, everything's all well now. But what about you, Jimmy? Do you feel like we need to be a bit more optimistic and start shooting our shots into certain roles? Try to create that barrier there. It's like, yeah, yeah. I hear that. Okay, so going on to the next statement. Okay, yeah.
So can I just ask, Tumi and Balloon, is the reason that maybe you guys are not working in education because you haven't seen anybody who looks like you working in education? I feel like I need an answer.
Yeah.
Why a lot of black males are not entering, and female as well, but I want to know that why we don't have a lot of black people entering the education profession. Is it not seen a job that's
Yeah. No, I think to be honest, for me, I think the thing with being a teacher is like it's such a big thing. Like it's not something that you can like take lightly, right? So I think that for me personally, I'm like, I want to be able to if I'm gonna be a teacher, I need to be able to do that and do that in the best way possible and make sure that like, okay, I'm here, I'm going to give myself 100% because I feel like that's what teachers do. And like this is why I also think in other instances, to me it doesn't necessarily even matter that like a teacher's black, white, or Asian or whatever. If a teacher's a good teacher and is not racist, they can be able to understand and relate to that student. And I think that's what's really important. And I think the reason why I wouldn't necessarily be a teacher as well is also because it is just something that's like, you know, you have to be able to understand and you have to be able to be present on every day and getting back like it's not even I think it's a gift. Like you can't, not anybody can be a teacher, not anybody can be a teacher. So that's why like I would like to like tender my work into like the policies, and like that's why I think it's so important that technology is, when technology is taught in classrooms, that equality in technology is taught in classrooms. That's why I think that's the way in which I would like to help the education system. But teachers, y'all do your thing, but I don't know, I could be a teacher like in 10 years from now, I could be, but right now it's just something that like I know that I would have to like, it's about giving, and I can do that, but maybe not necessarily not right now, or not in the role of being a teacher. Yeah.
What are you doing? Yeah. And I mean, working on, I mean, wanting to working on the policies and stuff. That's something that's majorly important because that's what even trickles down into the physical stuff that we then see, happen in the schools or whatever. So we need more people working on policies and working on trying to change certain things. You know what I mean? Like you said, there's a new secretary of something, minister of education. Do you know what I mean? So we need people in that kind of spaces as well, which is this is all amazing, you guys. And you're saying that you're not into teaching, but you're into creativity or whatever. But there are teachers that are teaching photography and videography as well. So you don't have to be a maths English teacher. Do you know what I mean? You can be the cool teacher. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, we never know. Moving forward, I mean, we all hoping we can inspire the future generation one way or another. Do you know what I mean? Okay, let's go on to the next statement. It's a cop out to change your hair, appearance, attire to try and assimilate into the white workspace. How do you guys feel about that? Ooh, who's trying to go first? Who's got something to say about that?
Yeah,
So it's a cop out.
I mean, it's a very interesting question. I do believe, and I'll be real with you, I do believe we all do that as black people.
Whitewashing.
Yeah, I do think that we have to. I'll give you an example. I think with schools, for example, I go in every day wearing a suit all the time, and I feel like it's the way to try and fit in the workplace. But I do it as well because I feel like it will make black young people see people smart. Do you know what I mean? But I feel like you do have to fit in by trying to get in the norms of working in a white environment. It's a very interesting question.
Yeah. I mean, you ever see a night out, like, as a guy, you can't just go to a club and you got trainers on. The bouncers won't even let you in. Do you know what I mean? So you need to, fit in. So you have to make yourself look a certain way to fit into certain environments. I mean, my mom always says, dress how you want to be addressed. Do you know what I mean? But sometimes I...
It doesn't mean it's anything to do with color. I think it's just a natural.
Yeah. It feels good to look good. Do you know what I mean? When you look good, you feel, you feel nice. So got a cameraman behind there shaking his head. What are you shaking your head for? No, but yeah, no, absolutely hear that. Do you guys ever find yourself having to change, who you are? Like, it's talking about the hair or, your attire or whatever. Do you find yourself having to change that just for work? I never felt that.
No, like honestly, I think with me, I've just always been able to be myself in a way. But then I do think that growing up in Britain and being black, you kind of do fully assimilate into this culture that you don't forget, but you put it to the side, if that makes sense, and you try and be like, okay, let me just survive. So for example, when you come to this country, like I did not used to talk like this. Let's be clear. But I knew, and it wasn't even anything that was necessarily conscious or subconscious. It was just a thing of survival. Okay, I needed to change my accent so that I know that like people would understand me. So then, like, and thank God I could do that because it just so happened to be that way because you just learn to adapt. And I feel like in a lot of ways, because high school and school for children, it's like, I don't want to say it's like a jungle, but it's because it's character building. Like it can be very intense. So it's like, okay, let me just make sure I can do. It's like when they say dot your I's and cross your T's. Like just do what you need to do and then keep it to going. But yeah, I think it's about the dress code and whatnot. It is about like, just making sure that you know where you're going. So it's not every day you need to wear a suit, but then like if you're going to like see the Queen, for example, but that's a bad example. Like if you like exactly, but if you're going to, I don't know, if you're going for a job interview, you're not going to wear a tracksuit. You're going to wear a suit or more formal, or like, but also a tracksuit might be good. Say you're getting interviewed at someone like Adidas, like okay, do that, but you know where you're going and know where the audience that you're going to be communicating with.
Absolutely. I mean, even going back to that, talking about, like work experiences, even, sometimes you'll take the sandwich to work instead of taking, rice and stew because you don't want people to be like, "Rah, what's that smell?" Do you know what I mean? Shout out to 90s Baby Show podcast. We're talking about, taking amala to work. Kind of stuff. It's a bit of a mad thing. Said you don't want to get sacked, so you won't bring something like that into work. So that's somewhat whitewashing.
Whenever I've ever brought food into work, like rice and peas and chicken, I was gonna say, do you know when I've brought Caribbean food in, a lot of people compliment it. They walk in the kitchen, what's that lovely smell? The staff room, I mean, they walk in, what's that lovely smell? So to me, like, it makes you feel good. Like, I want to bring in more every day. So I just think it depends on other people, where you are, what school, you know what I mean? It always depends on your environment. But I have heard of people with negative experience that say that people come in and said, "Ew, what's that smell?" And they've just like kind of been put off from bringing in food into work again.
To bring the Tesco meal deal sandwich into work. What about you guys? Have you had any experiences about having to change who you are for work?
No, 'cause I just wanted to ask you a question. Not that I think you've necessarily done that, but is it a case of overcompensating that you felt that you needed to change the way you speak? Because I feel I would do that if, like, every day I come into work and I say, "Hi, how are you?" And then someone's like, "Hey, what's up, bro?" But then they speak to someone else and you'll never hear them say that. Yeah, but because you walked in and you blacks, like, I'm trying to get them to speak to me exactly the same. So is it a case of overcompensating, or did you just feel like, you know what, this African accent ain't really gonna crack it here?
I think I don't know. I think it's a bit of everything. I think it's a bit of like, okay, as you grow old, because I think the younger you are, the more easier it is that you just adapt to your environment, I guess.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're older, you're not necessarily going to do that. And I think me as a person, I am a person that is like, okay, you know what, let's just do what you need to do. But I wouldn't necessarily change. I wouldn't necessarily say that I changed who I was necessarily. I think I just adapted. So, for example, I'm not going to be one of those guys that's going to be like, "Yo, G," like, imagine me, like, I'm not one of those guys that are going to be like doing that. So I didn't necessarily change in that aspect. I just knew that, okay, this is just the environment that I'm in, and then it just kind of happened. But there was definitely a bit of like there might have been instances of overcompensation, because it's like, oh my god, in a new environment. But yeah, like, I think it's a bit of everything that brought that along.
No, fair enough.
What about you, Jane?
I mean, it was when I was younger. So, like, I grew up, like I said before, in a town where it was not diverse at all, where me and my sister was the only black people in the class, and we're mixed race, and there was a lot of white girls with straight hair, and my hair was just not that. And I would look at them and be like, "Oh," like, and then go home and straighten my hair to fit in with them. So I feel like, "Oh, do you know?" And they would let me like play with them at school, or do you know what I mean? They invite me to the parties and stuff like that, and like do the things that all the white girls were doing, which really was not good for me because it ruined my hair. No, I mean, when I was at school, like, I would straighten my head. So in my head, if I look more like them, they'll let me play with them and stuff like that. So like that's, but now, obviously now growing up, I'm like, do you know what I mean? I'm me. If you don't like me, then, do you know what I mean? I'm not bothered. You stay over there. I've got friends who do like me. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's cool.
I think a lot of it also boils down to, confidence. I've mentioned this at the school thing when I went back to school to give the speech about being once upon a time being called a gangster nurse. Yes. They called me the gangster nurse because, like I said, when the young people will come in that's got, injuries from like, stab wounds or like fighting, or, do you know what I'm saying? I will always be the one that will get sent to them. And that's because, the way we will talk. Do you know what I mean? So I'll be one of them, like, "Yo, what'd you do? Like, how did you?" Do you know what I'm saying? Bear in mind, I was the only black person there. Like I said, they're like older white women have been there for a very long time, so they don't understand, that demographic too tough. Do you know what I mean?
Not always seen as a bad thing.
That's what
I know.
saying.
Sometimes
we
might
say.
go, "Oh, gangster nurse," but
yeah,
I suppose they're saying it in a laughy way to you, aren't they? But they know that because you can relate well with a lot of these
Younger.
people. It's just like in schools, Black History Month. If you've got Black teachers that are willing to kind of do their bit and make a difference, then they're gonna come to you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's sometimes I always see a lot of that as a compliment, that people want you to be involved and want you to deal with certain issues. Because imagine someone comes in who has been stabbed. You know, a lot of them wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you're from the local community, you can really,
relate to them a bit more,
do you know what I mean? So
exactly.
sometimes can be a compliment and not a.
It's not coming from
An
a
attack,
bad
yeah.
place to yourself. But yeah, no, definitely, absolutely. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying about confidence, isn't it? Like, just own who you are, talk how you talk. You don't have to. I feel like, I don't know how realistic it sounds, but in my head, it sounds very realistic to say not to whitewash anything. Go with your natural hair. Go with your hair if you want to go. Go however way you want to go. If you want to wear your dashiki and your attire, your agbada and everything, to wear it with pride. Do you know
I
what I
did
mean?
that and I felt good, you know. I felt good in the school. And do you know what? No staff said nothing.
No one is gonna-
at all. A lot of them loved. They just said, "Oh,
This
I
is
love
it.
that."
No one will
know?
ever come and say to you, like, to your face, like, oh yeah, don't wear that. Like, what do you think this is? I mean, I feel like, or maybe it's just me being very optimistic as to how things are running these days, isn't it? I feel like we're getting a bit more socially aware. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, hopefully it continues and it gets better and better. Do you know what I mean? Okay, let me go to the next statement now, you guys. Okay. The Black vernacular acts as a deterrent for employment. We just kind of spoke about that a little bit, didn't we? But how do you guys feel about that? Do you feel like our like you were saying before, like, yo, what's good? Do you feel like it kind of limits us in terms of employment?
No, like I don't think it should, because I think when you just look at like English in general, or like vernacular, whatever that, like white people have the same thing. Like they say, I don't know.
How you doing, mate?
Yeah, exactly. Or like they just go, I'm going down there. Like they have their own way of saying things, and if they were to have an interview with someone, they would be able to conversate in that way. And but when it's Black people, when it's like Asian people, that's when it's an issue. And I feel like that's the issue, is that people don't. I always used to say this: people don't see Black people as people. Like they don't see them as like people that are like just like everybody else. Because a white man could come into a job and be like, and say whatever they're saying, and they can relate. But then because it's Black person, you're not willing to understand. Do you see what I'm saying? So I think it's about employers being able to see that, like, yes, this person is different from me. And I'm not even saying that in a way of like race or racism. Like employers might not necessarily be racist. They might just be like, oh my God, different. Bye. But different isn't bad. Exactly. So I think that's what people need to understand. Or the way somebody talks, like you might learn a few things that might help you in the future. Like you being able to understand that, like you be able to understand what I don't know, like I don't know. You just being able to understand. Yeah, being able to understand another culture will be able to help you in the future. Like because you're always learning regardless. Yeah. So I think it should be a thing whereby it's not like Black people can't speak or they can't speak proper English, whatever that means. Like they obviously can, and yeah, I think it just comes from a place of understanding. Like if you understand someone, or if you're willing to be open to understand, it would be better.
I hear that. Oh my goodness. What about you, Kimo? Do you feel like the Black vernacular, is a deterrent for employment? Do you feel like it's an issue? Do you think it stops us as a barrier?
I've never heard that word before in my life. That's new to me. Yeah. I'm thinking somebody else go before me because I don't know what that means. Does that mean language?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay,
Black,
okay.
Black scent.
Okay. I do. Yeah, no. I do think language is important. I really do, and I think I'll be honest with you. I do worry about the way how some Black people speak. Massively, especially those with the slang that I feel like is part of their everyday life that they won't know how to speak in a job. And I feel like this is what deterrents them from getting jobs in life, because they don't know how to conduct themselves through good language. So I think that will always be a barrier if you don't know how to speak properly.
How do you think we can change that then?
That's a very good question. Do you know what I think? it can be changed. I just feel like they need to try and
Be open to change.
and just understand
educate.
more. It's all about that. It's all about education and knowing how to speak. And nobody's saying that when you finish work or when you finish your interview, you can't go back to your man them and do your thing, you know what I mean? But there's ways of knowing how to speak, and you've got to know how to do that.
Time and a place as well. Do you know what I mean? Taking questions.
I feel like some of them don't know that though.
Yeah.
But wait, how's that any different from what we've just spoken about before about we shouldn't whitewash ourselves in order to do you understand? We've literally had a conversation about this, changing who you are and your identity in order to fit in. And then now we're having this conversation like, but they need to, educate themselves into speaking better. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Am I thinking two different things, or are we?
No. I think it's two different points. Though that's the way I would see it.
Yeah.
I see this one as we have to be really careful of language around those and how people speak, and I feel like with that question is focusing more on we do have a lot of black people who don't know how to speak. There's a difference where what you were talking about before is we do know how to conduct ourselves in different environments.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Whereas there are genuinely some people that do not know how to speak in an interview. Yeah. And I'm talking, these are your hardcore man them. Who genuinely just know street talk only.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If you have to put them in an interview and you put some words to them, they don't even know what you mean. What you just, so I'm trying to say, and it's about that education. A lot of them need to be watching stuff or learning how certain things, interviews work for them to get it right.
But do you think it's racist if they're on the phone with somebody and then they ask, "Can I speak to someone without your accent? Like, can I speak to someone who speaks English, please?" You're speaking English to them, but your accent obviously is not as clear as an English person. And do you think it's racist for someone to be like, "Can I speak to someone who speaks clearer English?" But you're both speaking the same language.
Such a good question, though. Is it? Can I just say to me? Yeah. Can I just say? I feel like we need to be clear on what is racist and what isn't, because I feel like everything's now racist. Do you know what I mean? I feel like if you're having a genuine conversation with someone on the phone and you genuinely can't understand what they're saying, I would say, is there anybody that could maybe speak a bit clearer so we can understand? And I don't think that's racist. I just think that's just, you know what I'm saying? There's something that I'm trying to, I don't know what the word is, but I just feel like it's us trying to.
Not saying it in like a malicious way. Do you know what I mean? Intention, and you're like, I'm going to say this because I know it's going to offend that person. Then that's not right. But if genuinely, like you said, you can't understand it, then do you know what I mean? What else? Like, what else are you going to do? Like, do you know what I mean? I feel like you need to, like, can you get somebody who?
But then also, I think, like, for example, let's take race out of it. If there was a white person because they're a white man, yes, that might not be able to do an interview. So it's not necessarily a thing of it has to do with race. It just has to do with the way in which the system is set up. If you go to a place, but I also think it's about the places that you go to. So if you go to a place that is working with youth, that's a youth center or whatever, and you talk in a certain way, of course they're going to hire you. But if you're going to a place like Apple, or you're going to a place like, I don't know, the Home Office, they're not going to hire you, not necessarily because of but again, not necessarily because of your race. It's just because that's not what they want to represent. Now, but what that says to me is that because racism was embedded into a system, and I'm just talking about like the UK that we live in right now, because racism is embedded in it. Sometimes you will never know whether the reason was because you're black, Asian, this, that, and the other, or because of how the company wants to represent themselves. And I think there's a difference, Some companies in the world, I would like to believe, they're not racist. They just have a certain way in which they want want things to be presented. However, because as a black person or a person of minority, Whoopi Goldberg said that sometimes you have to listen with two ears. Like, oh, was that racist, or was that just because I wasn't for it or I wasn't for them? You see what I'm saying? Like, and I think it is difficult because sometimes you have to check yourself, but then sometimes you have to scream and shout and say, no, what are you doing?
Oh my goodness.
And I just add as well, I feel like it's very important what you just said as well, because I think often we do say we'll go somewhere and the person might not have necessarily gone wrong, and we're like, they're racist then. You know what I mean? And that's been something that's been going on for a long time. And we need to be careful because it's not always racist. Yeah, it's understanding.
I think it's because like racism, you know, sometimes can be quite obvious, and it's a lot sometimes. So it can be quite hard sometimes to be able to, you know, differentiate between, you know, is that racist or isn't, because of the experiences that we've had. Do you know what I mean? So I understand that. Were you going to say something to me? I thought you had your hand over to speak. Okay, just to round this up, we've got one final statement, and this one here is a bit. Oh, I read it and I was like, okay. And it is positive discrimination is a good thing. How do you guys feel about that? Yes, if anyone wants to. I think you got to define it.
Well, from what I understand, positive discrimination it's when companies like turn discrimination on its head. So like when they actively try to employ black people or try to employ people of minorities, so that in a lot of ways to fill a quota, and that's what the issue is with it. Because if you have positive discrimination, it allows for people of minority to get into positions and to get into certain workspaces calm. But then what happens when they're there? Because then you have an issue of they bring in like food, ethnic foods, and then it's an issue, or like the hair or whatever, because you have to. It's not just a one size fits all. Positive discrimination can work, but then you have to look at the company, at the organization holistically, and think, how am I going to be able to accommodate to this individual that might. If your company had foundations or generational things from slavery and whatnot, like I don't know, there are many organizations that have that lineage or link to slavery or whatnot. Now, like that's embedded into your company. So having a black person there, whether it's subconscious or not subconscious, whether it's conscious or not conscious, there's going to be tension. There's going to be weirdness, because it's like because I feel like slavery, like people remember, like you might not necessarily remember it like it happened yesterday, but like your skin remembers, and black skin remembers. So I think you have to be able to, like, it's not just a one size fits all. It's about changing it from the top and the bottom, and then making a holistic system. I think that's the issue with positive discrimination. It's not holistic, and also I like discrimination. Can it ever really be positive? You know. So I think they have to look at it from a holistic standpoint, rather than just saying, "Oh, now we have black people."
No, I 100% agree with what Polymis just said. You know, I feel like it's like putting plaster on a broken leg. Do you know what I mean? Where, you know, it needs to be, you need the whole surgery, then to cut that open and get it fixed. You know what I mean? So yeah, I feel like I absolutely hear what you say. I've clocked that, especially when the Black Lives Matter, you know, movement really happened last year. I feel like a lot of companies, the black square, we all saw the black square, everyone was posting on. Do you know what I'm saying? But it's like, okay, you use a posting this black square to claim that, yes, we're with you, but what are you actually doing within your company? Are you employing more black people? Okay, cool, you've got black models, but who are the people that are at the top? Do you know what I mean? Just like you were saying before, there's not a lot of black head teachers. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like they were sliding that one course, one person in there to fit the quota, and it's like, yeah, we've got a black person on our team. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, what are you actually actively doing for that black person, and how are you trying to, you know, educate everyone that's also within that system and within the organization as well? What about you guys? What do you feel about that?
I don't like the word. Yeah, it doesn't sound.
I was like,
Yeah, it's to me it sounds like it's the company has to do it for a reason. Do you know what I mean? It's not genuine. That's the word I'm saying. That it's not a genuine reason. it's because Black Lives Matter is kicked off, so let's go and get some black people. That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Black people like us, so you know, I mean, we'll tick a box.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, I like to play devil's advocate, so that you know we. He needs my help. No, but okay. What if they're using that, and then once now they fill the quota, they realize we should have done this sooner, and then like maybe they start learning from then onwards. But to actively assume that every time they do it, it's a quota, because like you say, because of the institution and how long it's run, you don't know the difference. Do you understand what I'm saying? So what type of positive, yeah, it is a funny word to say, but what would you see them, what would you like to see them actively doing for you to be like, okay, so they did hire me, but it's not because of that, but they're actually trying to see, what would you like to see them do?
Like I said, I think what it would need to be is like a holistic thing. Because, for example, people like to say that black people complain a lot, right? Whenever we talk about these issues and whenever we say these things. But I don't think it's complaining, because like people in life, for things to change, you need to make noise. So for disabled people to be able to walk into buildings, they needed to say that, yo, the stairs aren't going to work for me. Like for people with wheelchair, they needed ramps. Like it's not a thing of like, oh, I'm complaining. It's a thing of like, oh no, this is what I need to be in a sufficient place. So just like black people, and I don't want to use the comparison of like disabled people and like black people. That's not the point. I'm saying that people in life have or need certain requirements for them to be able to be facilitated to, or for them to be able to be for them to be accommodated to. For example, you're not going to I don't know. I don't want to say the wrong thing here, so I'll leave that. But like you're for example, if you had a blind person, right, you're not just going to say to them, oh, the door's over there. That's insensitive. You're not going to do that. You're going to try and communicate. You're going to do that in a different way. Do you see what I'm saying? So why is it that when black people are saying that, oh, okay, you know, if you're going to have me in your company, just be nice. Let's take away racism. Let's take away the fact that the company is racist. Calm. You can be nice people are still racist. And I know that's weird what I'm saying, but do you get what I'm saying? Nice people can still be racist. Exactly. That's the sort of racism. Exactly. But at least if you start off being just being nice to someone, or nice to black people, you can then facilitate an environment that can be conducive for them to work in. Obviously, for the people at the back, don't be, if you're racist are not nice people. I don't want that to be confused. But you can still be nice. Do you get what I'm saying? Does that make sense? So racists themselves, they're not nice people, but they can still be nice. There we go. But don't be racist. Don't be racist. That's still the vibe. Oh, yeah. I hope I explained that.
It's a lot. Has anyone got any last words with regards to this positive discrimination?
I feel like there are a lot of changes happening, like you said before. Maybe, yeah, to me, I love what you said before. Sometimes it could be seen as a positive if the workplaces are getting black people and then thinking, well, we should have done this a long time ago. What I'm liking now that workplaces are doing is they're now getting people in and that they put into roles like equality. Yeah. And those people are the ones meeting with people who are of ethnic minority to kind of have conversations about their experiences within the workplace, to then feed that back to the people at the top to say, look, in conversations, this is what's coming from your staff members that are of that, kind of background. So I feel like there are some changes there. A lot more need to be done. We've been saying this for years and years and years and years, and people before us were saying this for years and years, and I don't understand why it's still not happening. I really don't get it. I feel like if we're saying, I'm sure them people have been hearing us talk, telling them that, you're at the top, and there needs to be some changes up there. And I feel like until, I don't know when it will happen, but I feel like until that kind of change is up there at the top, we will feel a lot more better
Yeah.
knowing that we've been listened to.
Yeah.
Because we've been shouting this for God knows.
I mean, we're even doing this right now. Still us making the noise. But just to round it up, do you guys feel like, you know, we're taking a step in the right direction right about now?
Definitely. Oh, yeah. I feel like having these conversations is definitely a step in the right direction. And we just need to, just do more and have more of these conversations and just not be scared to talk about your experiences or even talk about your opinions and stuff like that. So yeah, let's just keep fighting the fight, and hopefully, do you know what I mean? Change will come. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, that's why I appreciate places like Pi Radio because, you know, representation, and we're not afraid to speak up on these things. But it shouldn't be a case of, oh, it's Black History Month, let's start talking about this. Like these should be everyday things we challenge. Like, you know what I mean? We shouldn't just use this month. And it's like, you know, because sometimes some people will feel like, I mean, you guys had your month. You're good now, right? Yeah. All right, cool. Let's move on now. Do you know what I'm saying? So we should challenge them every single time. And I mean, yeah, I don't know how far much we are in the right direction, but I know we're slowly tiptoeing. And we need to start running, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
I think you just have to keep the fight, keep going, keep having these conversations, and keep understanding that like people are people, and people want to change. And I think I personally think that we're in a space of change. Like COVID, everything like everything is just changing in the world. So hopefully one day the racism, all of that can be eradicated. And also I just want to further explain my point before of racist people that might be nice. So that it's just clear. So for what I was trying to say was that racist people, they might not necessarily be nice to like Black people, for example, but they're nice to other people, other races or whatever. So I'm just saying in an environment where that people like that exist, if people are just nice to each other or just civil or just like whatever, obviously there'll still be that tension. But then at least if a workplace can be comfortable enough for people to work in, because at the end of the day, it's a 9 to 5 and your job is done, and then you go home. And even if you have to do work at home, calm, but at least you go. So that's it. Just making a comfortable work environment for people of color, people minority. That's the point I was trying to get across.
No, it landed. We got there in the end. Kimo, have you got any final words or anything you would like, people to, I guess maybe do better? Things like, you like us to change, moving forward?
You're going to keep hearing me say this a lot because I'm really passionate about it, but we need more Black people in education. That's I'm on a campaign now. I'm running a campaign from now till I don't know when, but I'm trying to get more Black people into education because I feel like if we've all grown up seeing so much different experiences, we can all share the same thing that has happened, and everyone's got similar stories. And I feel like if we can get in there now to make sure that this generation, and the others now can kind of see those changes, I feel like they can kind of grow up with good stories of being in school and having people there that represented and look like them. Absolutely.
I mean, and I feel like school is something that we all have to go through. Do you know what I mean? So representation really matters. And that is amazing. You guys, I've been your girl, Matilda, aka Tilly, aka Tills. Aka Tilly Tills. You can find me on Instagram. I'm Matilda094. Palimi, where can we find you?
On Instagram, Palimi Pateo. And then follow Creation Foundation. And yeah.
Everything's just at Kimoy Walker, so you can just find me anywhere at Kimoy Walker.
And you can find me at Just Jade MCR on Instagram, and on Wavy Wednesdays 4-7 on Pi Radio.
At Chess Club. The way you say it is looking at me. At Chess Club T, that's TEE. Chess Club _ENT. That's my, photography and video page. So please have a look at that. And State Showcase _ every Monday, 9 till 11 p.m. Best hip hop show in the world. And I can't forget my boy Ethan Hill Beats as well. There we go.
Oh, amazing, amazing. We'd love to see it again. Happy Black History Month. Every month should be Black History Month, really and truly. But yeah, be kind, man. Be kind to everyone. Be kind to Black people as well. So until next time, peace out. I love that. Oh, well done.